Have you ever really stopped to think about it? The fact is, we're living way longer than any generation before us. It's this quiet revolution that's totally reshaping our world, and honestly, it's a huge opportunity. So, let's get into what that really means for all of us. Just to put a number on it, take Spain, for example. The average life expectancy there is already over 83 years old, and that's not some far-off sci-fi prediction. That's the reality, today. We've literally been given the gift of more time. But this leads to a really critical question. I mean, our lifespans have stretched out dramatically, but have our jobs, our communities, our entire social structures, have they stretched along with them? Is the world we live in actually ready for a 100-year life? See, this is about a whole new age of longevity. And it's not just about surviving for more years, it's about that classic saying, making sure we're adding life to those years, not just years to our life. And that brings us to this core idea of new longevity. And listen, it's not about old age. It's about completely redesigning our entire lives. It's about rethinking, well, everything. Education, work, community, to fit a life that could easily last a century. It's about making every single stage matter. You know, Dr. Diego Bardadini puts it perfectly. This isn't a problem, it's a privilege. We are literally the first people in human history who can realistically plan for a life this long. What an incredible opportunity. But yeah, it comes with some pretty unique challenges too. And that's exactly where we start to see the cracks in the system. Because while our lives have gotten longer, the world we live in, our workplaces, our schools, our social policies, they were all built for a much, much shorter timeline, and they're just not keeping up. And you can really see the disconnect here. On the left, you've got the old model, right? That simple, straight line. You learn, you work, you retire. Boom, done. But the new reality on the right? It's way more fluid. It's a winding path with multiple careers, constant learning, and new ways to contribute long after retirement. The problem is, we're living the life on the right, but our society is still built for that straight line on the left. So what happens when you have this kind of mismatch? You get system-wide fragmentation. Think of it like a puzzle where none of the pieces fit together anymore. Policies for young people don't connect with policies for older people. Healthcare systems don't talk to education systems. It's all siloed. Nothing is working in sync. And the numbers really back this up. Get this. A staggering 64% of the actual organizations working on longevity say there just isn't enough coordination. So the very groups trying to fix this aren't working together. That's a huge problem. And it doesn't stop there. More than half, 53% say the biggest roadblock is, wait for it, the government policies themselves. The very rules designed to support us are actually holding progress back. And then here's the biggest hurdle of all, money. A massive 81% of these initiatives say a lack of stable funding is crippling their work. You can have the best ideas in the world, but without resources, they stay just that, ideas. Okay, so that sounds pretty grim, right? The system's fragmented, it's underfunded, and it's stuck in the past. But the good news is, there's a clear path forward. The research lays out a really solid blueprint for building a society that actually works for people of all ages. So it all points to 5 key priorities we need to focus on right now. First, we've got to build more bridges between generations. Second, we have to fight the epidemic of loneliness. Third, we need to create ways for people to contribute meaningfully at every age. Fourth, we need a care system that supports us our whole lives. And fifth, we have to start seeing and celebrating how diverse aging really is. To make this feel a little more real, let's just zoom in on one of these priorities, combating loneliness. It's something that feels deeply personal and affects all of us. But the reality of who it affects most? Well, that might surprise you. Okay, so when you think of loneliness, you probably think of older people, right? But look at this chart. In Spain, an alarming 34% of young people, from 18 to 24, say they feel lonely. That's actually a higher rate than for people over 75. It's a problem that hits both ends of the adult spectrum really hard. And as Juan Fernandez Palacios from Fundación Mautfer points out, this isn't some individual failing. It's a social challenge. It affects all of us, and it's on all of us to fix it by building stronger communities. All right, so we know the problems, and we have the priorities. So what's the big picture? What could the future actually look like if we get this right? Let's talk about the 5 huge transformations we need to make to build a future where everyone can thrive for their whole life. It really boils down to 5 great changes. 1. We have to change the whole story we tell ourselves about getting older. 2. We need policies that are designed from the ground up to bring generations together. 3. We have to create cities and spaces that work for everyone. 4. We've got to make lifelong learning and health a real thing, not just a buzzword. And 5. We have to completely redefine what work and contribution even mean across a 100-year life. And I just love this quote from Mercedes Wolek because it's so true. Aging isn't something that happens to them, over there, someday in the future. We are all on the exact same road, just at different mile markers. So that's the goal, right? That's the future we're shooting for. A future where experience is treated like the valuable asset it is, where the idea of contributing doesn't have an expiration date, and where our whole society is stronger, more connected, and more resilient because of it. Which brings us right back to where we started, with a question. Look, this isn't a problem for just governments or big companies to solve. This is a project for all of us. The gift of a longer life is already here. The real challenge for every single one of us is, what are we going to do with it?